Hey.
Hello, Mr. Chavez. This is State Marshal Kane. How can I help you?
Well, I want to stop by saying congratulations. Maybe for reasons that should have went to arbitration. It still is pissing me off that
I agree 100%. Yes, I read your interpretation. I had the same one right before you posted that, and when I saw you posted that, I was like, well, you know, great minds think alike.
Yeah, it's I spent the greater part of a year, and I made a lot of enemies along the way, right? Some people think I love the criminals. Some people think love the LS, this, that, and the third. Foundationally, I believe in the law and democracy. And the moment that the law is ignored, because we all of a sudden have a problem. The law doesn't matter anymore then, right? What is the point? Law, it's, and where I'm going with this is, are you planning on ACRing or impeaching?
I don't have any. I'll tell you what, Mr. Chavez, my workload is extremely high right now, and the amount of money you would take as well. We have just spent $500,000 on impeaching the deputy mayor and contesting that legislation. So we are wearing thin over here.
Oh no, you guys fucked up too, didn't you?
Yeah, we're wearing thin over here with money. So,
money's not a problem.
When it comes to impeaching, I believe that there would be.
Let me ask you a question.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Do you want this city run by law? By what the people put in place?
Yes.
Then it must be done. I myself do not know if I have the energy left. I mean, I'm came here for guidance, and the first thing I see is this fucking shit. Like it's the fact that a fundamental legislation is just haphazardly ignored is fucking so fucking that it just makes me want to. Because what the fuck is the point of anything being fucking written down if someone decides, you know what, I don't want to do this? No, fuck you. Because today it's this, tomorrow it's going to be, oh, well, you know what? Actually, we believe murder is this other thing. You know what I mean? Like, this is bigger than the Marshall legislation. Right?
I can't say I don't disagree. I agree 100% with everything you're saying. I think that when it comes to impeaching, as far as I can tell, we would need to.
I don't even think it needs an impeachment. I think it needs an ACR to be like, why and what the fuck. And it probably needs state intervention because, look, I've been a big proponent of. I've been very aligned with this new set of DOJ, but it doesn't matter if it's like my kid or not my kid. This is a matter of like, this is such like a fundamental thing that it's got to get sorted out today instead of waiting for the next thing. You know what I mean?
Yes, I agree. But I must say, you know, I had some conversations with an individual, Kale Soze, yesterday in regards to this legislation. And his interpretation of this seemed to be that if one party decides to vote to skip arbitration, that would be perfectly fine. Which, you know, I obviously disagree.
Why would I? It doesn't matter what he says. You know what I mean?
I think that if it were to go to state,
Kale Soze, the guy who hasn't been around for God knows how long.
Yes, I think that he told me he was sleeping with the governor or something. I don't know.
Jesus fucking Christ.
I think that might be a leak. Please don't spread that. But yeah, I have a feeling if this goes
is he a marshal?
Not anymore. No, he's fired.
Is he a boss?
No, he's fired.
Is he a state official?
As far as I know.
So why does an opinion matter?
I just think that he's sleeping with a state official. I don't know if he has any sway. You know how that works.
Don't be a pussy gunner.
Listen, I'm more than willing to push this, okay, Mr. Chavez? It's just I have to look at the other side. I have to look at the devil's advocate.
You know what?
You know what I mean?
The devil's advocate to my dick. The devil's advocate is going to allow murders to take place. You're a fucking marshal.
Yes,
right?
I agree, but
and I'm asking you to back it.
All I'm saying is we have to know what the other side's arguments are going to be so that we can, craft a good one ourselves. That's
so
all
you
I'm
are
saying.
on board.
Absolutely, yes.
All right.
I agree with your assessment.
I can cook. Here,
I agree with 100% that this was untoward, that they didn't follow the law. They just skipped arbitration, even though it clearly says in there that they must go to arbitration.
Intention of arbitration is to ensure that we don't end up back in this fucking degenerate grinder mentality of like a couple people sitting in a room coming up with something and not being forced to stand by the shit that they write and exposing their thoughts to the public.
I tell you what, I agree 100%, Mr. Chavez. I just got off the phone with Falconer, and I told him that I believe if this did go to arbitration, that we were not as far off as they might think from somewhere where we might agree.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There may have been some alterations that would have allowed this to pass.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But something even bigger was lost along the way, and that was communication, right?
Yes,
and cooperation, which is the hallmark of our government succeeding. And
yes, I agree 100%, Mr. Chavez.
Okay,
100,000%. I agree with all. This is what I've been telling people this whole time when I've been campaigning this whole time. This is what I've been telling people.
Well, I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. The arbitration fucked them in the ass too, because, if it went by not going to arbitration, it allows everyone to make up shit as to what is and is not in here. I mean, even just looking at Twada, right? Like, the impression I get is people think this is, something it wasn't. I mean, to your benefit, right? For going, I listen, I'm glad that it didn't pass on a different set of principles, right? Like I said, nothing should pass unless it,
I agree,
goes through
100%.
the proper steps.
Like I said, I think that we weren't as far off as people think from somewhere where we could have agreed, and this legislation would have been passed if people would have just communicated before this shit hit the docket. That's all that
I also agree with. I don't know why that wasn't done. It's actually, I'm going to be rather transparent here. I thought I'm pretty disappointed in every signing member of that legislation, because every single one of those signatures, like 80% of it, we fought for a more collaborative government, collaboration with the people and all entities, and this just spits in its face. And there is a part of me that wonders if the power got to everyone's head, right? To actually sit back and say, look, I'm going to be transparent with you. I think Dark is one of the dumbest motherfuckers in law enforcement. I think the guy's useless. I think he doesn't close cases, right? Mm-hmm. I have a very, very negative opinion about him. And I'm not saying this just to shit on the guy. I'm just trying to make a point here, is that doesn't mean that you don't bring the guy to the table, right? Or the rest of the marshals and say, this is what we need to do. Because the moment you make a decision to say their opinion doesn't matter, you've lost the plot.
Yeah, I agree 100%, Mr. Chavez.
I didn't know you didn't like Doc. It's
no, I mean, not with that part. I think Dark's he's doing a great job as a director, in my opinion.
Sure. Yeah.
But that's neither here nor there. Okay. Yeah, I think that, and if they want a say in who the director is, all they had to do was communicate with us, and I think that it probably could have been done. But instead, they just decided to push something with no communication.
It's a backdoor, and then it's skipping all dialogue.
Ignore the law. Yep. Right. And then they ignored the law on top of it. The DJ did. So it seems like they spit in our face over and over.
Did something happen that caused this, or was it just?
I have no idea. I'm going to be honest. I haven't been communicated to about any part of this legislation. So literally all I know is this hit the docket, and I was like, that doesn't sound like something I like, especially them having access, the DOJ having access to our reports. I think that if there's any issue with FOIAs, we could do that on a one-time basis. You know, I think it opens the door for a lot of problems, them just having access to our reports on a continuous basis forever. You know,
that's because of
the trust me, I know why.
I mean, a lot of that is because of what happened to me. I was being harassed and targeted by the marshals from the moment before I took office, and then I went into office. I still have the reports, 45 marshal reports on me, not committing a crime, just surveying me for no reason.
Yeah, me and Falconer just talked about this. Yeah, he was giving exactly the reasonings he thought.
Yes.
And obviously, Mr. Chavez, I believe we've had, you know, a very cordial relationship ever since I became a marshal, at least. And as far as I could tell, there's, you know, maybe 2 or 3 active marshals these days. I try my best to go out of my way and build a positive relationship with everybody in the city. You know, I think that if people are willing to sit down and talk with me, that's all I can really ask for at the end of the day, you know, whether I agree with their opinion or not. So when it comes to the access to the reports, I think that, like I said, I understand what happened with you. And if the DOJ does believe that there's some sort of issues with us.
Wait, where is the report thing coming into play? Was that in the legislation? Maybe I missed it.
No, all I talked to Falconer before, and he mentioned the fact that they wanted the access to the reports. Yes, it is in the legislation that DOJ will have access to our reports. That is in the legislation, but he was giving the reasoning and he brought your name up as to the incident that happened.
But the DOJ has had access to the reports for like 8 months now.
As far as I know, until Dark removed their access.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be transparent with you,
what the fuck is going on?
I'm gonna be transparent with you, Mr. Chavez. Hopefully this can stay between me and you, okay? I have,
if that's the case,
reliable
come
information.
to my building.
Okay, where are you at?
What's your ping?
My ping is 61.
All right, see you in a bit.
Oh, I see.
What is going on? Like, I feel like the responsibility is just not present.
Okay, I could not find it.
It's like, who wants to, you know, it's just little things. Little things matter. Yeah, this is my investment company, which just got it furnished. It's been, it took about 2 months to get it up in place. So we got the lobby down here. See, I had a vision that once I retired, I was going to generate new jobs with trading being a big part of it, alongside empowering defense attorneys, because we don't really have any. There's a handful, but just not enough to go around. But also with the intention of empowering everyday people to be presenting legislation forward, right? Everyone should be a part of that discussion, because the law is what governs our state, right? And that shouldn't squarely fall on the mayors or the DOJ. It should be the people should be active. This is part of the trading floor right over here. Yep. All right. I don't really trust phones when it comes to sensitive things, because
I don't very much either, especially with what I was about to say to you anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, right where we left off was I do have the reason why I believe Richard Dark removed the access from the DOJ's reports is that we have received what we believe to be credible information that there's leaks coming from both within the DOJ and the PD. And when I mean leaks of
Yeah, faceless shit. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. About as sensitive as it gets. Yeah.
You know what my biggest problem has been when it comes to that subject? I haven't been able to. There's very few people in law. Remember a couple weeks back? That's why I did what I did in the way that I did it, right?
Yeah.
I come across something. It's going to look a certain way. And I've had very hot and cold experiences with the marshals where it's very easy for felt like every time I would give something it'd be used against me, you know what I mean? And instead of it being an avenue, it became I got targeted, you know what I mean? So
Gosh, yeah, that must have been before my time. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was bad. I mean, even with Dark, and that's part of. I mean, to give you an idea, right? And I'll be extremely open about it. We had, what was the name? Jason Todd, director of Humane Labs. During the whole pestilence situation, and I had her in a legislative meeting with Dark there, mention her ability to provide services when it came to the scientific front. Specifically, she was doing tests and had results from, I think, the black vein fever and something else. And immediately she started getting accused of all kinds of just weird shit. And, you know, everyone's got a blemish on them, right? But people should not be looked at as a... she was immediately became a suspect. Let's just throw it like that. And she was accused of a bunch of shit. So it's like things like that that make it a little bit difficult. But I will tell you this. Yeah, of course there's leaks from the DOJ. Even I'm aware of that. It's I don't think with the justices, if I'm going to be transparent, but I do understand the concern given the fact that how do you, I don't know. It's a difficult challenge.
It is very exactly. Yes, it's a very difficult. It's like we got a ship here with a bunch of holes in it. We're trying to plug these holes, and one of them's 4 people in the DOJ. So,
I don't want to go too deep into this, just because I know we had another topic to talk about. But I think the challenge becomes this, right? There is history that points at the marshals had corruption in it. Well, actually, let me take even another step back. Corruption is sometimes viewed as like something crazy, like this person murders or whatever. But a lot of times, like when I use the word, corruption can be unintentional as well. And because there's, the marshals make sure people are, kind of look over the DOJ and whatever, and might need to prosecute them. They can't have those reports in there, right? But vice versa, the DOJ also is the entity that would need to ensure that the marshals are also not being corrupt. Like, for example, you end up writing a report on let's use an example. Let's say let's pick a name, right? Like, let's just say me. Let's say you start investigating me, right? By all means, whatever. But now all of a sudden you guys are pushing a case on me, or you violated my rights. What entity ensures that I am receiving my documentation in order to properly defend myself? DOJ became that mechanism, right? But with DOJ being the mechanism, what if they're corrupt, right? And they're leaking shit. It's almost a catch-22, right?
I agree, and I think that there's a middle ground that can be found which I think would involve if a situation does arise where an individual believes that their rights have been violated by the marshals, we could give the justices temporary access to state marshal reports, to all of state marshal reports, and they can go through and see all of the state marshal reports. Obviously, this is a chance, yes, where they can take the information and leak it, right? But I believe it's better to have that time frame be narrowed down,
Or to the specific justice, perhaps, that is...
Exactly, yes,
Yeah.
yes. So
I think that's
there's a middle
reasonable.
ground. I think there's a middle ground that could be reasonable for everybody, that doesn't involve the justices having forever access to all of our reports, which I just think doesn't make sense.
I think that's within reason. There's a second problem, and that would need to be figured out, which is, do you know what a Brady violation is?
Yes, I know what a Brady violation is.
So,
yes.
Just for sake of,
intentionally hiding evidence from the
intentionally or unintentionally, exculpatory evidence. Yep.
From the prosecution or the defense.
Yep.
But usually from the defense would be a Brady violation.
A prime example is when Pred had charges placed against him over the warehouse that had weed inside of it. Then Marshal Espinoz actually turns out had information showing that Pred never not only Marshal Espinoz at the time knew it was being utilized by Sonia Summers and the gang C4 to sell weed out of. And that included interrogation reports, etc., etc. The only reason that some of that information came to light is because, as a part of his then defense team, as we were investigating the matter, Sonia came and let us know. So he almost got fucked, right? Now, granted, keep in mind, I don't know how much of the history you know, but he had bought the property, disappeared for almost a day and a half, and came back to it being locked down and the charges. And so that evidence of the Marshall investigation around C4, the warehouse, the weed suspecting, etc., would have shown that he may not have even known what the fuck was inside, which I can tell you as his friend, he literally bought the place and went to sleep, right? But it's
gotcha,
yeah, it's
I understand a lot of the reservations people have based on the past, and that's why I think there is a fair middle ground for everybody.
I think that makes a lot of sense. I think what you're saying.
And that's why I expressed to Falconer that I believe if we had went to arbitration, or if anybody had just reached out to us and discussed this with us, that we probably could have had a discussion like we're having right now. And I think that the legislation most likely would have passed and not been contested.
I wholeheartedly agree. I'm a strong believer that, I mean, even with the VAF stuff, I think I spent God knows how many hours speaking to PD about it, including how they can operate after VAF is removed. And I could sit there and be like, well, it's my way or the highway. No, because then I'm not doing my due diligence. I would not have been doing my job, right? And without those conversations taking place, we don't even know how much of a disagreement we even have, right? It's unnecessary friction. It's anti-democracy, in my opinion. Unfortunately, the way that it seems to be being phrased is the vote is the only thing that's democratic. That's bullshit, right? You know what it reminds me of, actually, Gunna? The United States and what they call the way bills are passed nowadays. Did you know the Senate and Congress in general, most of those motherfuckers don't even read all the shit. You know how...
Yeah, somebody read it for them and explain it to them, right?
No, it's worse than that. It's because what will happen is there'll be like a digest of information. Like let's say it could be called like the Social Security Act, let's say, right? And it could be like 200 pages. But then in order to allow it to pass in Congress, to get the necessary votes, is they put in earmarks in it. And what that means is I'm over here, let's say I'm the bill presenter, and then this person says, well, you know what? We want to ban, put this like random unrelated thing in, like 5% tax on orange juice. And this other guy says, oh, we want to make it so that people can't put tents out in this restriction. Da, 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 da. And now all of a sudden this massive bill, which is labeled as Social Security, actually contains shit to like that dealing with illegal immigration and fucking this thing and that thing and this thing and that thing. And it'll come down to even the last 30 minutes where shit's getting altered, and then it gets voted on, right? And so now all of a sudden that vote is it really democratic at that point? Because you're being led to believe you're voting on one thing when you're actually not, right? And we can lean on the fact that, well, people could go and open up City Hall and read it themselves and whatever, but that's fucking horse shit, right?
Yeah, nobody's doing that.
No one's doing that. And if we recognize people do not do that, we need to make sure they're empowered to have the right information. Right?
I agree 100%. Yep.
So anyways, sorry. I know we kind of deviated. There was something you wanted to mention on the phone and I stopped.
I think I got to it. The fact that there are credible information. The reason why we don't want the DOJ having access to the reports is because there was, credible information we've gotten multiple times that there is leaks coming from within the DOJ. But I think, like I said, there's a fair middle ground for everybody. I don't think they need full access to our reports for all time,
I think that makes a lot of sense. Let me ask you, how do you think the director should be chosen?
Falconer, me and Falconer were talking about this. I believe there was a vision that the governor expressed that involved appointment of people by the legislative authorities, and then that moving to a public vote.
That's weighted.
Where, yes, it would be weighted. Exactly.
I agree with that.
That is, I think, the best way we could have this vote set up. I think that's a great way to do this. I think barring that, I'm not exactly sure. I think that maybe a vote from the chief of police, the sheriff, and maybe a vote from the marshal office, the same way the DOJ has a vote. I think that having law enforcement have a say in who the director of the marshals is makes sense.
I'm a very big proponent in us having our ballot boxes updated to factor in certain employment status, as you mentioned, and whether or not you're have felonies, misdemeanors, or a clean record. Because empowering those that have a clean record, I think, is huge, right? The streets are filled with a bunch of too big gangbangers. It's fucking disgusting. And
That's right.
individually they're great, but it's we've sort of now at a point where civilians have no ability to thrive. And I want to, in the same breath, I say, I can recognize, well, Nino, you did this, right? Type shit, where I reduced this and this and this and this, but none of those things had an effect. The effect is because they have no empowerment. You got a business license, then what? Right? You get this, and then what? Right? Those avenues don't lead you anywhere, but at least a vote That's fucking powerful, right? Even if it's like 5-1, you know, 1 vote for a felon, 5 for a civilian, that's a good thing. And I don't know.
Yep, I agree 100% with that process. So if I could, you know, wish that into existence, that's the way I would have it.
That's crazy. Okay. Where do you really feel about this ACR thing? You say, are you worried? Be honest with me. Is it a bandwidth thing? Is it a worry thing?
Oh, it is definitely a bandwidth thing.
Okay.
Yeah, we're very spread thin over here. I don't know if you could tell, but it's pretty much just me, you know. Just impeached the chief of VMS. I've got a lot on my plate at the minute. Like I said, I'd be more than willing to take this on as well.
I mostly I'm looking for backing here, primarily because, look, I'm going to have a chat with Michael, and I'm going to tell him my disdain. I'm probably going to slap him up pretty verbally over it, because quite frankly, this is asinine that he was even okay with suggesting the idea. I think Falconer made a foolish mistake. I don't want to see any of these people removed, but I very much think that a stance needs to be put forward, because it's a matter of principle of if it happens today, it's going to happen on something else tomorrow, right? And knee-jerk decisions where it just says it doesn't matter what's in law is crazy, right? What's the point of a justice system at that point, right?
And I've noticed there was no rebuttal to your informal motion there from the justice as well. So I don't even know what the rebuttal is.
People are yeah. I don't know how I'm going to approach this yet. It may not even be an ACR. It may be... I may contest the legislation. I don't know. I have to see what legal avenue I'm going to take, but I think it's going to require some government clarity. I'm going to be honest with you. I might even just fucking call up the governor and say I need that job to work for the state. And not for anything, but just to be a fucking coach. You know what I mean? Like I said, it just reeks of... Brother, I fought against this for a year, right? And I never expected within 2 weeks... I don't even think it's intentional, but it just reeks of, like, power getting to people's heads.
You know, I believe that when you were mayor, we had a very cordial relationship, and if you would have put some legislation like this, we would have probably had a discussion like we had, and it probably would have been successful, you know?
I do appreciate that. I don't think anyone's being malicious. I think it's just, like, to me, it's not, you know what's a better way of putting it? I think it's fear of conversation. People are pussies in San Andreas. They can act otherwise. But where you're not willing to stand up against those that are opposed to you and have an argument, that's being a pussy, right?
Yeah, you know, I agree. I'm always open for a hard conversation, you know? I don't know why they're not.
Yeah. I'll see what I can do, and, but,
yeah, it's been a pleasure, Mr. Chavez. You have a
likewise.
great day, okay?
You take care.